Let's make a watermark with a stencil. I've been making watermarks for a long time, and but it sometimes is interesting that when you have a student and they just try something. So I had a student recently who took these stencils that I've been using for pulp painting and just put it on this mold. They happen to be the exact correct size, and pulled a sheet. This is a cotton pulp beaten for about half an hour, really hard. Even sheet formation is really important for a watermark. It helps it show up better. So I've got the sheet, it's well drained, and you can see the stencil here. The surface tension should just hold that on there while I flip it over, cooch it, and I'll remove the mold, and then I'll peel up the stencil. Look at that. Can't wait to see how that dries. You guys, this is exciting. I love how these turned out. I'm gonna zip through about 12 different designs that I use those plastic stencils for. How cool is that? This is on a light box. That's why the lighting is kind of weird. The thickness of the paper is really important, and it's really important that you shake and get a uniform sheet. This one I had some issues because the paper was so thin at the edges, but overall I'm pretty happy with that. It's really hard to make a white sheet of paper too. This was pulp after a workshop, so there's little bits of gunk in the sheet which are really noticeable in a watermark. The pulp is also really critical for a watermark. So this is a very homogeneous pulp, not beaten very long, about 30 minutes. It's cotton rag. I prefer rag to linter because I find the linter, the sheet just breaks down too much, and the sheets are weaker. So I run into all kinds of problems with cooching and lifting. This is like Keith Haring, so fun. So take a look at this one. A watermark technically looks better on the side of the sheet that was touching the mold or touching the watermark because the pulp is going in right there and it's crisper. So this is the back. It's not quite as crisp as the front. Another thing about watermarks is when you start getting really wide areas that the pulp has to go over, it slips off your mold and it's really thin here. Because remember, this is the reverse. So the pulp is thicker here and the pulp's thinner here. So when you have a wide area for the pulp to have to go over, it gets confused and slips. But that's a pretty good image. Here's my last one. Super fun, looks like arts and crafts. Happy watermarking.